Tell me where I was. No, when I was talking about the media and they're ignoring the stories. I'll give you a perfect example. On April 26, Ms. Rodas gave sworn testimony, and I've used this many times. 85,000 children have crossed the border and disappeared. Now, that's sworn testimony. That's also evidence that has been submitted. And I talked to Tim, and he says it's actually much bigger than this. But anyway, the next day, I think that's newsworthy. And the next day in the news, nothing, absolutely nothing. And so, but we've seen this over and over again in the media. You said ivermectin's bad. That's listed under the NIH. Hydroxychloroquine is bad for us. That's listed under the NIH. Adrenochrome, that's not true. It's C9H9NO3. This is a chemical compound that is absolutely listed. It's been around in modern science since the 1930s. You can actually, there's a synthetic form and there's a regular, natural form, which is caused by torturing little kids to get their adrenaline up, essentially, and then extracting it from them. When you sit and meet, and so I brought this up a few years ago, and all of a sudden I was attacked by every media. Look it up. It's there. They absolutely went after me. And the next day, I never heard from my agency for 14 months. My lawyers let me go. My agency never called me after that. And essentially I was done. And so when we go and do movies like this, you spend a great deal of time with agents, working with them. I didn't realize the connection, though, to my industry and to Epstein Island and all of that. But obviously there is. And I couldn't sleep for 2 years after doing that movie. 2 years, in the middle of the night, horrible nightmares. Something hard that happens to you in your life, you can either fade away or turn and fight. And I've decided to fight back because those precious children are God, and I'd give my life for God. I'm talking about the Jesus Christ God, okay?
But not enough. And it's something that I really want to dive into is child sex trafficking. And it is getting more and more attention, praise God, not from the left, they don't care. Wonder why. But Tim Ballard, who runs Operation Underground Railroad, is with us. The website, if you want to check it out, is ourrescue.org. Tim, welcome to the program. Tell us about the effort that you are leading.
Thanks so much, Charlie. Yeah, like you said, this is a major problem. This is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. Millions of children. Department of Labor has it at 6 million. Sex trafficking, labor trafficking, organ harvesting even. So I run actually two organizations. I run the Nazarene Fund. I'm the CEO there. Glenn Beck founded that. He sits on the board. And we do anti-trafficking work, mostly in the Middle East and in Africa. And then I founded Operation Underground Railroad, and we're all over the world working with law enforcement, extracting children, getting them restored, and trying to raise awareness as to how big this problem really is. And how the United States, it's complicit. We are right dead in the middle of it.
So 6 million kids, that's a huge number. Please build that out, elaborate that more.
Yeah, so if you break down the numbers, there's about 27 million people in total. That's according to most, credible sources in slavery. That's men, women, and children. And the kids, that's conservative at 6 million. That's Department of Labor, state. And they are broken up into three categories, which is labor, which is the biggest one, sex trafficking, and then organ harvesting. It's 2 million specific designated for sex trafficking. And the United States, I'm so tired of people saying that that's a problem that is far, far away, when in fact we are the number one demand. We are the consumers. We consume more child exploitation material than any other nation on the planet. And then, of course, I spent 10 years on the southern border. I was a special agent, undercover operator for the Department of Homeland Security. And I'm watching the border and watching our policies, or the Biden's policies, are really just complicit, completely facilitating child trafficking at our southern border.
So the website is ourrescue.org. So if you could build out just kind of an example of those numbers are overwhelming, but tell us a story of something that is typical, not atypical, of an age, a behavior that is forced, movements, or who's doing this. I mean, I'll just spout it out. For example, a 45-year-old gang member in Houston who moves 10 girls from point A to point B, forces them to have sex with older. I'm just spitting off. Could you give us what is the typical thing you encounter? Because there's a lot of our audience sometimes gets confused by the abstraction. Give us what is the most typical story that you run into.
Well, man, human trafficking has different faces in different places, and one story that comes to mind is, and this should hit home for all of us. A girl that we helped several years ago, she had been kidnapped, groomed in Mexico. I think she was 12 or 13 years old, and she was brought across the southern border where there was no barriers, was no enforcement, and she was taken, picked up in a van, driven to New York City. In New York City, she was there between, I want to say, 14 years old all the way till she was like 16, and finally was able to be rescued, and then but she was raped. Now, this is the sick part and unbelievable. So she's taken in, and she is within a 24-hour cycle, she's sold about 10 to 15 times, just picked up, taken to this hotel, this bar, that person's house, and it's all planned, her day's planned out. And then she comes home and sleeps a few hours and goes at it again. This is happening all over the United States. And so many of these kids are brought across our southern border.
So the most typical thing you see then is female prostitution ages 14 to 16. Is there any law enforcement that, I'm sure there is, but do you think the government is doing all they can? Let me rephrase that. Do you think the government is doing all they can to stop that horrific practice?
No, not at all. I mean, in the United States, there's about 5 anti-drug agents for every 1 anti-child trafficking agent, and it's really because it's not been a priority. The people haven't, yelled loud enough about it. What we're doing like I said, the policies on the southern border, if we enforce it and build it out and build out the enforcement, you're going to rescue more kids. It's 2 + 2 = 4. The kids are going to have a chance to be rescued right in that place where they can be rescued. Their final hope before they get put into one of the biggest sex markets in the world, the United States, is at this port of entry. So we need to control that piece of it. And then, it's really transnational. We do a lot of our work is overseas. Kids are being sold on the beaches, they're being sold in bars. And the age goes down, by the way. Like the average age in the U.S. is about 14, but you go to Mexico, you go to other places. Actually, you go to Hawaii, we're working in Hawaii. The ages are closer to 12, 11, 10 years old that they're being inducted into human trafficking rings.
So this brings us to the upcoming film, Sound of Freedom. I've been hearing about this film nonstop. They do a great job. Play cut 26, please.
I don't think I can do this job, Tim. As soon as I lay down, all I see are those kids' faces. How long you been doing this? 12 years? How do you do it?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade. What if this was your daughter?
Wherever I go, I'll find my way home.
So the film is coming out on July 4th. So just tell us about your perspective on this film. I see it kind of being publicized everywhere. It's really exciting to see this kind of momentum to expose this horrific and demonic evil. So Tim, thoughts on the film, how it ties into what you're doing?
So the film, so I'm the subject of the film. Jim Caviezel plays me, and it tells the story of how I went from being a government agent and why I quit. It starts in the southern border where we rescue this kid, and then we go look for his sister, and the film takes you to, and we go into Cartagena, Colombia, where we pulled off one of the largest trafficking busts ever. Over 120 women and children were rescued, but it required me leaving my job. It required me, because the U.S. government was telling me, come home, we don't have a business there. And so it's kind of it's a thriller. It's about finding children in the U.S. Into Colombia and other places, but it's based on a true story, and all the bad guys are real, the kids are real, and it really explains what this is. But it does it in a way that I think is digestible. The filmmakers are just incredible. Angel Studios is putting it out, and we want people to go to angel.com/freedom and buy tickets and make sure you're there. We want 2 million people in the theaters on the week of July 4th, representing the 2 million children who are designated and currently in the commercial sex trade.
Number 1. Tim worked for Homeland Security, in which he began working for also Glenn Beck behind the closed doors in 2013, and with Glenn Beck's Nazarene Fund, which later merged together with Operation Underground Railroad. Number 2, Tim Ballard only rescued one boy in 2006 while working for Homeland Security, whom was also not kidnapped, was not only just abused by his known abuser, but also in which the boy's family knew. The sister was never kidnapped either, but was sold to a sex worker agency and was not even rescued until she was an adult, several years later. Number 3, there was never an attempt of the boy's or the sister's abuser to transfer the boy or the girl into the U.S. Number 4, Tim Ballard did not quit his job out cold right after the boy was rescued in 2006. Number 5, he quit 9 months before Glenn Beck launched his Nazarene Fund, supposed to have been rescuing women and children from ISIS around November of 2013. Number 6, Tim Ballard left the Homeland Security job in March of 2013. Number 7, immediately the fabricated story began and starts with the attempted premiere to produce a child rescue TV series, which wasn't even picked up by any production company. Number 8, Glenn Beck and Ballard produced the first movie they named The Abolitionist, in which premiered in May 2016. The same storyline as The Sound of Freedom. Number 9, the movie The Abolitionist, as Tim Ballard starred in it himself, was not just a hit, but it was another ball dropped. Number 10, in 2017, they rebranded with Angel Studios, hired the movie star Jim Caviezel to act as the main character of the movie, pictured as Tim Ballard.
I think we have a solution, and it's a solution you can be a part of. It is called Operation Underground Railroad. It's a team of specialists, former CIA agents, former special agents, former Navy SEALs, former Green Berets. They all have a unique skill set for extracting people, in this case, children, from the sex trade. They are the Underground Jump Team.
We find children that have been kidnapped, used for sexual slaves, and we go get them, and we take them to a better life. I'm telling you, we are the people that do that. We can go in there and extract these kids.
Operation Underground Railroad founder Tim Ballard. Tim, we are certainly hearing various social media platforms are playing a huge role in coordinating these migrant caravans. What can be done?
Well, look, they are advertising, the smugglers are advertising, come with me, I'll get you into the United States. And they're using our laws against us. That's why the vice president is spot on. Congress needs to fix this. The policy I'm talking about is this Flores settlement, which says that if you bring a child, if you're illegal and you bring a child and you walk across our border and surrender yourself, these folks are surrendering themselves to these vigilante groups, okay, because they're told to do this. If you have a child in hand, then they take you, law enforcement takes you, and they have to release you in 20 days. This is very, very dangerous. Children are being used as pawns, and they're in a very vulnerable situation here.
Well, let me ask you about...
All right, guys, Hidden War is coming out November 14th in the United States. You know about the Utah problem. Certain people in Utah don't want you to learn about sex trafficking. Why would that be? Ask questions, see my post. But there are brave people, okay? My buddy Kish at Utah's Patriots is doing what you can all do, and it's over, okay? Don't let them thwart Jesus using Jesus' name. See this movie, the one they don't want you to see, okay? Rent a theater like Kish at Utah's Patriots. Go to utahspatriots.com/tickets. This is November 14th at Megaplex Theater, okay? Thank you, Megaplex. You guys are awesome. Let's keep going, guys. Every great movement starts with the people up, okay? A people movement. Rise up, Utah. Don't be the only state in the union that's not showing this movie, because then more questions will be asked. Be brave, stand up. You got Jesus on your side. Truth on your side, Jesus on your side. This is a movie about how he is rescuing his children, okay? Don't miss it. Thank you, Kish. Thank you, Utah's Patriots. November 14th, 6:30, Megaplex, Lehigh. Get your tickets.